Hello everyone. So next I am going to consider infinite line charge. Okay. So we consider infinite line charge and then try to see whether I can find potential for this charge. So I can actually find potential for this charge. The charge has line charge has a density of rho L by rho L's coulomb per meter at any given radius, and we already know that the electric field lines are all radially outward and they are given by rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught r, and this r unit vector is in cylindrical coordinate. Okay, so imagine that there were cylinder and electric field lines are all at any point r from the origin. Their value is given by rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught r. Now if I take a path very similar to what I did for spherical charge, okay, and if I take the same kind of thing, I can actually try to find out what is potential difference between 2 points. So let us say which is VR1 minus VR2. Okay, so I will obtain this then by going against the field from R2 to R1. Okay, and I will obtain this then by going against the field. So I can substitute the field here as rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught r. What should be the direction? Well, the same thing that we did in last for spherical charge distribution, line segment will also be directed along r, and it will be given by r hat. Okay, and it will be given by dr r hat. So the line integral will become simple scalar integral. Okay, so if you now try to find out what this is, you will see that potential difference v1 minus vr1 minus vr2 is actually given by rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught and ln the natural log of r2 by r1, with r2 being greater than r1. Okay, so if I consider, can I consider r2 equals to infinite as my reference? Can I do that one? Unfortunately no. Why? Because if I try to substitute r2 equals to infinity in this expression, you will see that it quickly ln of infinity, right? Of course I can't use r2 equals to 0 as my reference, because in that case also I will not be getting physically correct answer. Okay, so what it seems to indicate is that for an infinite line charge I can't use infinity as my reference point, and for a point charge I could use this as my reference, infinity as point of reference, but for a line charge which is infinity I can't use that one. Okay, so reason why this is happen is because electric field for a point charge goes as 1 by r2 and it will decrease 1 by r2, and an integral of 1 by r2 will give you a finite value at infinity, whereas the field of line charge and the field of sheet charge or a plane charge we are going to talk about in coming slides will go as 1 by r or a constant. Therefore at infinity you can't use them, because at infinity charge, the integral value, the value of the expression are not going to be 0. So the primary culprit being the slower variation of electric field. Okay, so these condition will become very important later on. Until that point, let us not worry about it, but when we have to do, meanwhile, if you want to solve the problem of putting a reference, use to pick any other point apart from infinite as my reference and then start finding potential for the point. Okay, so this is not the infinite as the reference point, but any other point or any other point in at any other point as reference, and all the potential would be calibrated with respect to that point. In fact, this is practically what happen if you take a coaxial cable. Okay, we are going to discuss that shortly. If you take a coaxial cable, it will have an inner and an outer conductor, okay, which one can be approximated as one line and the another line. Okay, outer line is where we connect the voltage supply, I mean connect the ground, and then we say that this point is zero potential. Okay, and the inner will be charged and there will be electric field between two. We are going to calculate that one. This is an example of long line charge and inability to use infinite as a point of reference. Okay, so you can of course object to this entire and saying that in practice how can I'm going to realize finite line. In such, you will be right. This problem of idealization has happened only because we consider an infinite line charge. In fact, here is a nice puzzle. What will be the Q total contained by infinite line charge if the line charge density is uniform? If you now go from minus infinity to plus infinity, rho L d z dash, what will be the value of total charge? Is this contained in the linear charge density? You try to think about a little bit on this total charge. Okay, till now we will talk about potential, and we also find out the potential difference between 2 points R1 and R2 because of uniform infinite line charge. Okay, so we've said that for a uniform infinite line charge you can't use infinite as a point of reference, so we have to use some another point, infinite value of R, as point of reference for 0 volts and measure all the other voltage at other point with respect to voltage at that 0 which is not at infinity. Okay everyone, now we are going to discuss the example related to infinite line charge. Okay, so for simplicity let us consider rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught is equals to 10 volts. From this expression you can easily calculate the value of rho L, and it turned out to be 556 pico coulombs per meter. We know that epsilon naught is equals to 8.85 into 10 to the power minus 12 Faraday per meter. Okay, by substituting it value we can calculate the value of rho L. Now let us say I want to write down, or I want to find radial distance which all corresponds to same voltage with a potential unit of 5. Okay, so I want to find out constant potential contour which all refer by 5 volts. Okay, so my question is what should be the ratio of R2 by R1 in order to obtain that 5 volts potential difference, which of course depends on which part R2 or which radial distance R2 I will be selecting as my reference or potential 0. Okay, so if I substitute this 10 into the expression, and then say that with certain value of R2 I'm going to consider that as 0, then the voltage at a particular point R1 will be 5 volts, right? So at R2, whatever value of R2 that I choose, that will be reference of that point and the voltage will be equals to 0. So if I move along R2 to R1, what should be the value of R1 in relation to R2? Okay, such that potential there will be equals to 5 volts. So remember that potential rise will happen only when I move against the electric field. So I have V equals to R1 is equals to V at R1 is equals to 5 volts. I'm putting in expression, then I'm calculating value of R1 is equals to R2 by 1.65. So because there is 1.65, this let me arbitrarily choose R2 equal to 1.65 R1. Okay, so I can arbitrarily choose my R2 as a point of 0 volts. So I have an infinite line charge over here, and along the radial distance or sum I assume as 16.5 centimeter. So I'm going to choose this as my point of zero potential. Okay, in fact it will not be up and down, but it would rather be along a circle. So at all the points which are radially at 16.5 centimeter, the potential will be constant, and the constant potential contour will actually be a circle. In this case, having a particular value of radius. So if I choose 16.5 centimeter as 0 volts potential contour, okay, what will now be R1, such that potential there should be equals to 5 volt. So it turned out that if R2 is 16.5 and if I want to obtain 5 volts, then R1 must be equals to 16 point, here it will be 1.65, this will not be there, by 1 point, sorry, here it's correct. Okay, so it will be 10 centimeter. Okay, so I am calibrating everything in terms of centimeter. So this is infinite line charge. Okay, and this is my ref 0. So at some point 16.5 centimeter radial distance away from the line charge, the potential is taken as 0 volt. And if now take R1 equals to 10 centimeter from the origin, the potential here will be 5 volt, because there will be R1 is equals to R2 by 1.65. Okay, and since R2 is 16.5, so my R1 value will be 10. Similarly, the ratio of these two must equal be 1.65 always. This ratio will be also here, it is here the 10. Okay, so the value of R from the origin where the potential will be 10 volts is given by approximately 16.15 centimeter. So it could be around 6.1 centimeter. So if you continue doing this at different values, you are going to get different potential. Here it's 5 volts, here it's 10 volts, then it will be 15 volts, then it's 20 volts. Okay, so you are going to get different potential values, and the potential keep on increasing. If you will see, my potential is keep on increasing, and the potential goes as logarithmic value. For example, 6.1 by 1.65, which is approximately 3.7 centimeter, and the potential here will be equals to 15 volts, and the potential become 20 when it is 3.7 by 1.6, this is 3 here. Okay, so at that time it will be 2.2 centimeter. So the potential becomes 20 at 2.2 centimeter from the origin. Now if I ask you that for the same coaxial line segment or for the same coaxial line problem, that our outer at 16.5 centimeter, I have a potential of 0 volt located by grounding that coaxial cable, but the center conductor potential is actually now 20,000 volt, so which is about 1000 times higher than what I have shown in the problem. Can you now guess what will be the line charge density in order to present potential? The line charge density would obviously not be the same 556 picocoulombs per meter. For 556 picocoulombs per meter, with the configuration of 16.5 outer radius and 2.2 inner radius coaxial cable, the central conductor will be at a potential of 20 volts. Now that we have increased from 20 to 20,000, what will be my new value of rho L? So you can easily calculate by going back to this rho L by 2 pi epsilon naught expression. You can calculate it by observing that you have increased the potential by a factor of 1000. The charge should also increase by a factor of 1000. So you can show that 20 volt at 16.5 centimeter to 2.25 centimeter coaxial cable radius, the line charge density and the medium is also related according to this expression. If you now say that the potential has to 20,000 volt inside the conductor, my rho L2 will be my new line charge density, that would be 2 pi epsilon naught, and this expression will be same, it will not change, it's still 16.5 by 2.2 centimeters. So you can divide one by the other and show that rho L2 is equals to rho L1, and in other words the new line charge density that we are looking for in this 20,000 volt sequence is 556 nanocoulombs per meter. Here again you can see the appearance of picocoulomb, nanocoulomb, the amount of charge that are there or charge density is actually very small, because picocoulomb and nanocoulombs are what you actually see in practical. So we have seen that 1 coulomb is actually a very large quantity, and here are some of the other field distribution that I am going to show you, and I hope that you can follow these new field distribution. Okay, I have a positive charge here, a point charge, and a negative charge that is situated here. So we have not really calculated electric field because of this configuration. Okay, so we will calculate electric field shortly later, but for now you can kind of imagine that if you don't have negative charge, then electric field lines would have all located radially away. Okay, so it will be like they are all radially away, right? And however the charge for negative charge of negative point charge would be radial, but they would all pointing inward, right? Now that we have positive and negative, what happen in that? The electric field line will begin from positive charge. Okay, so it will begin from positive charge and end on negative charge and away from the positive charge for vertical direction, and here the charge is still radial, whereas for here charge would actually not be radial. You can show that constant potential would also change. The potential would be constant, potential will all be now contours, these circles, right? So there would always sphere of a particular value. However, they themselves will have to change because of field get weaker down here. So spheres are not exactly nice, the centers are not situated at the charge themselves. Okay, so these are the constant potential lines, these are the constant potential lines. How about the field lines? The field lines must be perpendicular to the potential. Okay, so there is no potential which is in the center. Okay, like this there are potential contour in the field line, would of course all will be parallel to the contours. Okay, so field lines all will be like this, from positive to negative. So outside the field lines are still radial, directed away, and then start to bend inward. This one. So we actually drive electric field for that also. Okay. So far we have talked about point charges. We also talk about line charges. I didn't give you expression for potential at any given point where I have a collection of charges. There are not infinite charges that I am talking about, or the charge density which are uniform, but extended all the way to infinity. These are collection of charges that I am looking at. Okay, so for these collection of charges, what would be the expression for total charge? So total charge will be Q. I know is the total charge. If it's a line charge or a line charge, then the total charge will be rho L dl. So it would be integral of line or the surface if it's the surface line charge or a surface charge density. It would be an integral over volume if it's a volume charge density. Okay, so this is volume charge density, line charge density, surface charge density. So the potential at any point in space V of r is simply obtained at the superposition of the potential by considering them to be point charges, essentially saying that the summations become integral. And you can replace charge q which was there in point charge potential calculation by approximate integral. Okay, so approximate integral with the more general case will be volume charge integral divided by integral has to go not only on the source but there is also radial distance involved. Remember, there is a radial distance from source point to field point. Okay, so this would be expression for potential assuming that they that have already chosen a point of a constant potential. Okay, so this is expression of potential of a continuous charge distribution. Well, we originally said that the potential difference between 2 points delta V is actually negative of line integral, right? Some point from initial point to final point. Okay, is there a way I can turn this equation around? So I can express electric field in terms of potential function. Is there any advantage of doing such a conversion or saying for such a relationship? Yes. If I perform this, if I invert this relationship from potential to electric field and expression electric field in terms of potential function, then I can calculate electric field by making practical measurement of potential, right? So normally what happen in electromagnetic problem is that I do not know what is electric field or what is the charge distribution. In fact, those are the quantity that one has to calculate. So what can be measurement? So is the potential because of this charge distribution on the charge distribution or any other potential because of charge distribution. So I can make measurement of potential easily, and from there I could able to construct electric field. So if I can find the recipe of doing that, then my life becomes so simple, right? So I do measurement and then by maybe I interpolate them and then I can find out what is the electric field. Okay, so this operation of going from potential field to electrical field involve introduction of gradient, which we have already discussed. Okay, so what is gradient? Imagine a surface, imagine the surface or a hill, imagine just a hill. Okay, so now if you are climbing a hill and then you know that at point you are standing. Okay, assume that all the paths are accessible to you. So at any point you stand, you normally, if you want to climb to the top, you are going to find out where the slope is actually changing at its maximum, right? So if I have this particular smooth curve here, I'm standing at this particular point, and I'm trying to find out where the potential is, where the slope is maximum, because imagine at this point I'm standing, I can move. If I'm standing here, I can move horizontally like this, but the slope is not changing. If I move along this line, okay, right, the slope do change, okay. And if I go downward, the slope change, but the slope changing is not what I am looking for, right? I mean, I am looking to climb up there in this direction. So if I actually draw many such point here, like here, if I'm going here, if I'm going here, so I will find out that only along this particular direction towards upward, where the potential is changing, I can, if I follow that path, if the path is accessible to me, if I follow that path, then I will reach to the top very easily. So this is something what you might have observed in practical, but you might not have been seen that there in mathematical way to capture that phenomena, okay. And this mathematical way to capture that phenomena is to give the value, or to give this quantity of derivative along particular direction, or sometime called as directional derivative, and that is known as gradient. So this is, suppose, a distance. If I assume this is a distance delta x that I am considering, okay. So I am along this line, and let us say that electric field is directed along the same direction, that is opposite, but along parallel to this delta x. What will be the total charge in the potential here? So the total change, what will the total change in potential here? So the total change in potential will be delta V. If you look at this, so delta will be equals to electrical field into delta x. There is a minus sign here, because minus if you can move, if you are moving against the field. So the electric field can be written as minus delta V by delta x. Okay, so we have seen this earlier also. We have minus delta V by delta R, and then delta R was taken to be 0, but there I am trying to make it a little more precise. So what field actually I have got, the field that I have actually obtained by doing this operation by moving along delta x is actually Ax component of the field, okay. So in the limit delta x going to 0, so the electric field at that point is actually given by minus dV by dx, or in general potential could be a function of all these component x, y and z. So in that case I have to replace dV by dx by the corresponding partial derivative, okay, by corresponding partial derivative minus partial v by partial x. So I can actually build up other component of electric field by following this idea, right? So I have total electric field as partial derivative. So this would be x hat. There is minus sign which is common to all of them. This is partial derivative of v with respect to x plus v hat partial derivative with respect to y plus z hat partial derivative of v with respect to z. So this is particular expression in which I have managed to invert the integral relationship. So this was the integral relationship was, as we have seen earlier, it was minus initial point to some final point was there. Then I was having E dot dl, so that was my V. Okay, so I just inverted this partial to this expression. Okay, so in this expression I know that potential difference or the potential function, from here there I am extracting the electric field. The quantity that is sitting here in the right hand side of this one is more commonly expressed as minus gradient of V, where gradient is an operator which is defined as x hat del by del x plus y hat del by del y plus z hat del by del z. So why I am saying that gradient is operator, because if I write this have no meaning. Okay, so I write this have no meaning. This is like saying, hey, what is the meaning of d by dx, right? So if I write down d by dx, similarly I just give you del operator, there is no pointing that one. In fact, d by dx, yx, fx, example d by dx is called linear differential operator. Okay, similarly you will have directional dependent, that is differential partial derivative along x will give you x component in partial derivative along x will give you x component, partial derivative of y will give you y component, and similarly partial derivative along z will give you z component. Okay, so the operator do not make the sense until I attach potential function to this one. And why I am taking negative, again it has to do with the potential rise. So you go against the field, you are increasing the potential. Okay, so this operator is called gradient. An electric field is given as, in some textbook they use word grad also, which is important to notice that grad and del are essentially one and the same. So grad is more descriptive perhaps, but commonly used description is del, gradient of scalar quantity. Okay, and you have to be careful here. You have to, on this right hand side of this expression, partial function potential function V, which is scalar, and I am applying some operator to this potential function so as to convert that potential into vector quantity. Okay, so this is the operator wherein the input sort of this gradient is a scalar and then the result will be a vector. So we will see how interesting our life has become now, because I have potential V, correct, which is scalar function, which is easily measurable. From there I am actually able to determine the vector quantity electrical field. Okay, in fact this kind of method can be used in practical to map out electric field lines for a given configuration. Okay, so this is sometimes quite widely used. What does the gradient of V max tells us? The gradient of potential at its max will give the magnitude of electric field at any given point. Okay, so it will give you magnitude of any given point. In fact, this is very general. For example, let us assume that there is some scalar function f, and I calculate scalar function. The gradient of this scalar function what will be the result? It will be x hat df by dx plus y hat df by dy plus z hat del f by del z. Okay, so if I now consider some path, okay, say dl is given by some decomposed into x hat into dx plus y hat into dy plus z hat into dz. And then I ask you what is the component of del phi on this line dl. So you can obtain that one by making dot product of gradient with respect to line segment, and you are going to get this del f by del z into dx plus similarly for other components. Okay, so what is this quantity del f by del x into dx? Gives you the slope of the function f. This will give you slope of function of as they move along x-axis. Therefore this is a basically slope into change along x-axis. Similarly, slope into change along y-axis and slope into change along z-axis. Therefore, what is the quantity giving you is the total change in function f if you had taken a directional path or a directional line along dl. So if you go in a given directional dl, so you can find out what would be the change in that function value. The maximum change will give you the maximum change in function value, and this is what you are going to use if you want to climb a hill or go down the valley. Okay, so here we will stop the potential. At this point we will now introduce another important electromagnetic quantities and then get to Maxwell's first equation by Gauss law.